Welcome to WinSouls TV. This is your host, Jeff Thomas. Let's get on with the video. So this video is titled, Wake Up and Stay Awake. Wake up and stay awake. This is an end times video. Honestly, I haven't decided yet whether I'm gonna make an end times playlist or not. But yeah, this definitely needs. This is the time period to wake your behind up. I'm telling you that right now. And then stay awake, because there is so much that is going on right now, and us as Christians, it's time to rise up. So let's start off just by jumping straight into the scripture. And so we will be coming out of, well, this is the first verse that we'll be coming out of, and that is Ephesians 5:14 through 17. So let me go ahead and read that for you. It says, "Awake, O sleeper, and rise up from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Look carefully then how you walk, not as wise or not as unwise, but as wise, making the best of your time, because the days are evil. Therefore do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is." Now, first of all, we want to walk and make the most out of every single opportunity that we have, because most of the opportunities that the Lord brings to us are based on our calling and the way that He would like for us to walk in the first place. Okay, and a perfect example of us not walking out of our calling, or us being lax in walking out of our calling, or us walking out of our calling for a specific time period and then beginning to slow down a little bit, is David and Bathsheba. Now, a lot of pastors have already preached this, so I'm not gonna go too far into detail. But what I will say is that when David found Bathsheba, okay, he was supposed to be fighting anyway. He was already supposed to be in war. He was already supposed to be beating people up, cutting heads off, killing babies, all of this stuff. He was supposed to be in the middle of war. Now, had he been moving out of the way that the Lord had called him to move, had he been moving based on his calling as king, then he would not have fallen into sin the way that he did with Bathsheba. First of all, okay, so, for those of you who don't know, he was supposed to be away at war. He sent his men away at war instead of going with them. And guess what? He looks out, he sees, a woman bathing, and guess what? He wants to go sleep with her. He had her brought up to him. He ends up sleeping with her, and that just caused problems from then on. And so when we wake up and we are paying attention to the very things that the Lord has called us to do, we are not falling into a place of distraction. Now, I heard a great message preached by Michael Todd of Transformation Church, and he really goes into this concerning distractions. I don't know what the title of it is, but if you go back about a month or so, if you're watching his videos, then he really goes into details concerning distractions, and he uses that as a perfect example of taking your focus off of the very things that the Lord has called for you to do, and becoming distraction, and even allowing distractions in your life. So when you wake up, latch on to the opportunities, move out of the way that the Lord has called you to move, because when you are focused on that, then you will not become distracted. There is no room for distraction. But because David took his focus off of that, look at what happened to David. He fell into sin. Okay, so the next thing that we want to go into is Matthew 24:40 through 43. Let me read that for you. "Then 2 men will be found in the field. One will be taken, one left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill. One will be taken and one left. Therefore stay awake, for you do not know what day the Lord is coming. But know this, that if the master of the house had known in what part of the night the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and would not have let his house be broken into." Now, there are 2 things that we need to really pay attention to here. Now, one of which First of all, we need to stay awake in order to recognize the times that the Lord is describing in the Word. Okay, there is a lot that is happening in the world right now that is not coming on mainstream media. Okay, there are a lot of earthquakes. There are a lot of natural disasters. There are a lot of things that you would literally have to research in order to find out that are actually going on. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the end times right now, but it's not being reported. All of these natural disasters, all of these earthquakes that are happening over and over and over again, hundreds of them, maybe even thousands of them that are happening. All of these natural disasters that are occurring, they are not being reported. Okay, and so you can't rely on that. You would have to actually do some deep research on your own to find out that all of this stuff is actually coming, and then pay attention to Israel as well. But guess what? If you napping all the time, if you're not paying attention, and staying awake doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually falling asleep. It means that you have become distracted, or allowed yourself to become distracted, taking your focus off of the Lord and your calling, okay, and not allowing yourself to actually be engaged in the Lord so that you will know exactly what is going on spiritually, and then be able to recognize it in the natural. Okay? If you allow yourself to die spiritually, you will not be aware of the things that are going on in the natural. You just won't. You just won't, because you have allowed yourself to become or get to a place that is conducive to the world. And when you are living out of the world, it's almost like this pattern. You see the things the way that the world would see them, versus moving out of peculiarity. I think I said it a little bit better this time. Which manifests from heaven. We are of this, we live in this world, but we are not of this world. So you have to pay attention and be in that word and get right with the Lord if you are not right with the Lord. We have to be vigilant in our relationship with the Lord, because the Lord helps us to see the things that are happening in this world. Okay? Remember, Satan has blinded the eyes of the unbelievers, so they don't see what we see. But if we live in the world, we begin to see the things the way that they see them. Okay? So be very vigilant. Okay? That's one point. Okay? And then the second point is that if we don't stay awake, the enemy and guard the things that we have, the enemy is more than willing to steal them from us. More than willing to steal them from us. We have to be vigilant in our relationship with the Lord so that we can recognize these things when they happen. And the same thing is prevalent in Mark 13, 35 through 37. Just paying attention to the times. Paying attention to the times out of your relationship with the Lord. Now let's drive this point home with Mark 14, 37 through 41. Let me read that for you. And he came and found them sleeping. Okay, this is when Jesus was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he was asking the Lord to have the cup taken from him before he was crucified, or before they came and got him to be crucified. And so he says, and he came and found them sleeping, and said to Peter, or Simon, Simon, are you asleep? Could you not wait an hour? Or could you not watch an hour? Watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak. And again he went away and prayed, saying the same words. And again he came back and found them sleeping. For their eyes were very heavy, and they did not know what to answer him. And he came the third time and said to them, are you still sleeping and taking your rest? It is not enough. The hour has come. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of the sinners. Now, why am I talking about this, and why am I harping on this whole point of staying awake? Now we have to really pay attention here, because there's a lot of activity that is going on in that verse. Okay, I heard a commercial when I was a kid, and it was like in the early 2000s. And this is when like all of these commercials about all of these new medicines and stuff were coming out. And one of the commercials said this. It said, a body at rest will remain at rest. A body at rest will remain at rest. What does that mean? Basically, if you get into this mindset of staying away from the Lord and doing your own thing and living out of what I like to call flattery, you're flattering yourself with the Lord. Basically, you going to church, you're doing everything that seems right, but you're not delving into a real functioning relationship with God by reading your word and spending time with him in prayer and worshiping him outside of just going to church on Sunday. Then guess what? You just playing this little game. You just straddling the fence. You straddling the fence and you're not really moving out of what a true Christian is. Okay? And they were allowing themselves to move out of that flesh. The desire of the body is to stay asleep. Okay? And so we have to stay awake so that we can keep guard, keep watch of the times, keep watch and see what's actually coming our way, just like he wanted them to watch and make sure and pay attention to when these sinners were going to be coming to take him to be crucified with Judas. Okay? So he wanted them to keep watch while he was going to go pray. But guess what? They didn't keep watch and they fell into the temptation of more rest. Okay? We have to stay awake and guard the door of our hearts. We have to stay awake and guard our children and our family. We have to stay awake and have that relationship with the Lord so that we can recognize when temptation is even coming our way. Because if you allow your heart to be conditioned to the state of this world, you won't even recognize when you are moving out of temptation. You won't even recognize when you've fallen into sin. Trust me, I have been there. You will begin to justify that sin. And even you won't even recognize when the temptation is even knocking at your door because you have allowed yourself to become lukewarm. Remember, the frog that was in the pot. You know, of course, yeah, you turn that eye up with him in that water, naturally he gonna jump out because it got hot immediately. But if you allow yourself to slowly drift away from the Lord before you recognize, you just digging your own grave. We have to be on fire for the Lord, not lukewarm. We have to be hot, okay? Too hot to handle, too hot for this world to handle. So pay attention, wake up, and stay awake. You guys be blessed.